Yo, what is poppin' with 420 Army? It's your boy Miley in 420, and here's the Ice Age 2 review. Ice Age The Meltdown. Yep, I'm reviewing these films every month. Obviously, last month, even though it's technically still March at the time of recording this, I reviewed the original Ice Age, so this time in April, we are now reviewing The Meltdown, which I guess it is a decent sequel, even though it does kind of get was kind of a little tedious. There were some points where it was a little tedious when to watch, and this film it does do a great job at and also it introduces two best characters in the old Ice Age franchise. So I guess if they never made the sequels, then these two characters would have never been created. So you know what? Let's just jump right into this, even though I already had my 1 minute spiel about the film. This movie came out in 2006, by the way. So you know what? So like I said in my last one, I don't know if the sequels take place before the ending scene of the first film or if it's after that, because I highly doubt that Manny, Sid, and Diego will still be alive after 20,000 years. And yes, the characters still have their original performers back. So basically, after we have the opening logos, we see Scrat climb down an ice wall, and then he's hanging from his tongue, which is that would be painful if you were hanging from your tongue on a chunk of ice, because he's lucky to not have his tongue ripped clean out of his mouth. That would just be painful. Oh god. But either way, Scrat gets himself unstuck, and he finds an acorn lodged in the wall, which he pulls out, and then it starts squirting, but he quickly patches all of them up with his hands and his feet until there's one he patches with his mouth, which actually starts filling him up, and he blows up like a water balloon. It's did he actually stick his mouth on the thing? Or it's I'm pretty sure if he used the tip of his snout, the water would have jammed, but then it would open a sixth leak. So, but either way, Scrat goes flying, and once he's back to his normal size, he ends up falling a bazillion feet and survives that fall after crashing through a bunch of other stuff along the way before he's swept up by a kid. And then after they go out of the side, we get the title card, and we see a camp of all the animals, because apparently Sid is trying to run a camp with all the kids just having some fun on a playground. It's water parks we have nowadays almost. We even see some animals are this global warming's killing me. This was too hot. The ice age was too cold. What will it take to make you happy? And she falls in the water, and it's this I like. Because again, I don't have the animals memorized in this movie, so yeah, either way, Sid's trying to tell some kids not to run. And then this aardvark tells it, "Make me sloth," and then Sid says, "Make me sir." He's trying to impress a lady, I think, who ends up running off. I'm not sure if it's the same lady that he's with at the beginning of 5, but either way, the kids eventually tie up Sid and start trying to play piñata with him until Manny and Diego arrive, and there's talking. It's all Sid, "We told you you're not qualified to run a camp." And Sid thinks that Manny and Diego don't respect him, so he wants to find a way to do that, and then Sid decides, "I'll find a way to teach him some respect," because Sid kind of feels like he's being left out despite being the creator of the herd, which is okay, so it's kind of off to a decent start. And then we have a scene where Manny is telling all the kids a little story, and then the kids start adding their own random bullshit to the story, ooh, wild ass boy returns with wild ass mother. And then it's there's nothing more satisfying than have happily ever after. One big happy family, and one kid even asks, "Where's your big happy family?" And then, of course, Manny is probably still traumatized at losing his family. So even though this traumatization does come a little bit in the later films, but yeah, Diego tries to help Manny by saying, "Then the hungry tiger ate the pesky little kids," and he scares the kids away. It's yep, Diego's trying to stick up for his friends, so even though Manny's still kind of being an unlikable asshole, he's here by telling us that he's not qualified to run a camp, and not appealing to the kids are just kind of stupid for not. No, I'm not implying that all kids are stupid. It's just sometimes they get needy, so. Yeah, then we see Fast Tony, voiced by Jay Leno. He's trying to sell some stuff to help animals survive a potential flood by demonstrating through a straw with his assistant Stu, which is Glyptodon. He's like, no, you moron, you don't suck air through your nose, you suck it through your mouth. You can actually suck your air through both, which obviously everybody knows that, even though my mom says that breathing through the nose is healthier, but... yeah, either way, they're just like, Manny and Diego confront Fast Tony, and there's like a whole bunch of arguing going on until they realize somebody is going to jump off the Investirator, and they realize that it's Sid, so then Manny and Diego go up to save him. And if this was realistic, do you think Sid would have died if he actually jumped off this, even though there's a scene where all three of them fall down and survive? But I think that Sid's going to get himself killed if he does this. Even though Manny saves him and he accidentally pushes Diego into like an ice field which starts cracking. And Diego's scared of water because he's a saber-toothed tiger, so I'm pretty sure like tigers, lions, and all that are afraid of water. So then Manny realizes, holy shit, everything is melting. Because earlier he told them, no, 1,000 years ago this ground was covered in ice, and 1,000 years from now it will still be ice. Because that's right, he didn't believe Fast Tony up until he sees it, because that's when Manny realizes, oh shit, we gotta move. But then Sid's, of course, kind of upset that he thinks the whole thing's a piece of junk, and that's what results in all three of them falling off the Eviscerator and approaching Fast Tony, and then Manny tells him, yep, he was right about the flood, we gotta get out of here. And a vulture even confirms this suspicion after everyone starts laughing at Manny and tells him that they are in a bowl, and that the vultures are just gonna eat everybody, because it's like, wow, so they're worried about getting stalked by vultures on land. It's like that story in the Bible, the birds eat whoever dies in the fields and the dogs eat whoever dies in the sea. Whatever that story is, it was in the Bible. But then the ice, like the dam starts breaking apart, and then like a beaver actually grabs his son and he says, damn, get it? Because it's a beaver and beavers make dams to stop waterfalls. Do you get the joke yet? And they even knocked down a water slide along the way, and then Manny's like, this whole place is going to be a mile underwater, so we got to see if that boat is real, because they do believe that the flood warning is going to happen. But then Manny stops to inspect a block of ice that looks suspicious until Diego's like, Manny, let's go, move it now. So now I'm not sure if Manny actually saw Cretaceous and Maelstrom in the frozen ice block. Yes, the two... When I was little, I used to refer to Cretaceous and Maelstrom as beasts, because I don't even know what they were supposed to be, but Cretaceous is supposed to be an ichthyosaur, and Maelstrom is supposed to be a plesiosaur, and they've both been frozen since the Mesozoic era, so... yeah, I think there's like a bit of an inconsistency, because both those species went extinct like tens of millions of years before the Ice Ages, and there's like a book that states that those two were frozen 1 million years before the events of the film, so... yeah. But anyway, basically Cretaceous and Maelstrom end up melting out of the ice, and before we get to that, we see like some vultures looking for like meat to eat of the animals escaping the flood, and then the anteaters think Manny is the last mammoth when they approach him, and then the father's like, where is James at? Now, I'll hopefully try to see if I can throw a screenshot of this in here with like an arrow. Like, there's like one block of ice that looks kind of suspicious, like, because like there's like a sort of outline. There's probably, if I can throw a screenshot, I'll put it in. I'll put like the arrow at the ice block that's like, is that the ice block Cretaceous and Maelstrom were in before they melted? But then we see James blowing bubbles until Stu scares him off. So then Stu is just continuing to swim in the lakes until he's suddenly yanked underwater because Cretaceous and Maelstrom ate him. And then Fast Tony is like, come on, Stu, we gotta get going. But then Stu's shell flies out of the water right in front of him, and Fast Tony is like, holy shit, where is he? And then he's like, ooh, be the first in the valley to have your very own mobile home. It's like, dude, are you not aware that your friend just died in unknown circumstances? The fuck, man? But yep, we even see Cretaceous and Maelstrom swimming through the lake just to show that they melted out of their ice block before we cut to Scrat. I'm surprised Scrat never interacted with them. Or at least had a scene where Scrat tries to escape from them with his acorn. Instead, we just get some shenanigans with Scrat getting caught under ice with like one that's like constantly flipping, which is always funny watching Scrat chasing his acorn. Then he goes under the water, gets like a huge ice chunk stuck around his neck, and then he just cuts it with the chunk still on it, and then he falls while trying to get his acorn. But then it's like, yeah, those scenes are always funny to watch. So we kind of have an interesting Act 1 setup, or so. Okay, but then we kind of sit through some tedious montages of Sid singing songs, and Manny's like, Sid, would you shut the fuck up already? I'm not going extinct, because Sid is just trying to sing about Manny going extinct. It's like, wow, you're trying to piss off your friend even more. He's already an asshole enough as he is. And Manny's like, what if I am the last mammoth? But then they hear like a mammoth blowing off in the distance, and they're like, holy shit, I might be the last mammoth. But then they run to the woods and they find like some sort of bear, or Sid does, that's like having stomach problems, and then May's like, I gotta be alone for a while. And then here's where the two best characters in the Ice Age franchise come in, Crash and Eddie. Sean William Scott is Crash and Josh Peck is Eddie, I think. But we never would have had Crash and Eddie if this film were never made. But then there's like a scene where Sid and Diego, I think they're supposed to be playing whack-a-mole with them, but yeah. Oh yeah, Crash and Eddie are the two opossums. They're two opossums, so you're wondering what type of animal they were. And they literally look the same. I sometimes have trouble telling which character is which, despite them not even being voiced by the same guy. But then after some shenanigans of them playing whack-a-mole, and then Sid and Diego chasing after them, we cut back to Manny, who's like wandering off his own. He's like, it's just you and it's just me. Before he sees Ellie, voiced by Queen Latifah, fall out of a tree. Yeah, that's how Manny and Ellie met. But oh yeah, and Ellie's voiced by Queen Latifah, by the way, just so you know. And then because Ellie was raised by possums, so she literally thinks that she actually is one, and she's looking for Crash and Eddie before they show up. And then Sid's like, holy shit, you found another mammoth. And Ellie's like, I thought mammoths were extinct because I'm a possum. It's like, you're literally a goddamn mammoth. And Manny tries to humor this by saying, I'm a newt. This is my friend the badger and my other friend the platypus. Diego's the badger and Sid is the platypus, but Sid's like, why am I gotta be a platypus? Make Diego the platypus. But then they kind of have like a little bit of an argument because of the way Manny and Sid were chasing after Crash and Eddie, and Manny is like, why would I invite this mammoth to come escape the flood with us, Sid? But then they also reused the I'm not fat joke from the first film, which, spoiler alert, 3 and 4 also milk this joke. It's like, why do we have to put this in every single film? If there's one good thing about 5 is that it did not have this joke. Yes, the worst Ice Age film. Well, excluding Buckwild, which Buckwild didn't have that either, so yeah, but then after we see another snippet of Scrat attempting to get his acorn back with a stick that's too short, we see Fast Tony trying to like talk to some like bantha-like creatures from Star Wars. I don't know what they are. But then we see a deer walk up to some bushes that Crash and Eddie are hiding in, and then they run into a tree. Ellie follows them in some bushes trying to cover herself, and then Minnie even tells her, Ellie, you can lose the camouflage. But then they continue walking before a hawk shows up, and once the hawk leaves, Ellie thanks Manny before the two start walking on their own, and Manny's like trying to convince her, look at our footprints, they're the same shape. And our shadows match, and Ellie's like, you must be part possum. It's like, wow, despite how much of an asshole Manny is, I'm surprised he doesn't just blatantly yell, you are a mammoth! Yeah, like, obviously that would be a Toy Story reference, and they probably would have known, and then Ellie would be like, you are a sad, strange little man. Sure, throw some Toy Story in here. Because you know me, I like to throw pop culture references in my film reviews, when you're thinking, you're crazy. It's like, well, hey, I'm just telling the film exactly how it went. I at least tried to humor it along the way too. But then we cut to the herd crossing a small pond, and Crash and Eddie are just kind of having some fun before they're ambushed by Cretaceous and Maelstrom. And yeah, by the way, it is worth mentioning that their names are never mentioned in the film. So that's why it took me like a long ass time to realize that those bastards had names. I have said that already, but this action scene is kind of cool with like Cretaceous chasing after Manny, and then Sid trying to help Diego get over his fear of water, which he discovers when Maelstrom is like literally about to eat them. So yeah, and then basically Ellie manages to escape too, because she tries playing dead, but then I'm not sure how long it would take for Cretaceous to eat Ellie if he noticed her, but Maelstrom could probably just devour Ellie in one bite, like he almost did with Sid and Diego. But then Cretaceous shows up on like an ice block that Manny is on, because Cretaceous has legs and can walk on dry land, so he tries to eat Manny but gets caught on his tusks before Manny just flings him back into the water, and then they head into the woods, and then Cretaceous and Maelstrom just eye them before slugging into the water. Even though Cretaceous can walk on dry land, he's like, no, I don't want to leave Maelstrom behind, because yeah. And they're like, yeah, let's avoid water from now on in case we run into those things again, so they decide they're walking through woods, and May's just being kind of annoyed with Ellie. It's like, bravery's just dumb. Maybe you should run away more. It's like, yeah, he's trying to convince Ellie that she's a mammoth, which is like kind of going as they're walking through the woods until Crash and Eddie are like riding on some logs, and they crash into a tree before Ellie rolls away, and then Crash asks Manny to fling him out of a tree, which he's against at first, but eventually does it before he slingshots Crash out of the tree before he crashes into another tree, and then he's like, no, my brother's dead. I'm surprised that, like, it's kind of funny how Eddie's more focused on Crash instead of just attention to Manny being like, you bastards, you killed my brother. Which Ellie's kind of like that. It's like, you told me to fling him out of a tree, and you listened to him? But obviously Crash survived, because then they're happy that he's still alive before they like head into the woods late at night, and then Ellie's kind of just chasing Crash and Eddie through some logs, and she gets stuck before Manny just like picks up a log and throws it away. Sid is still trying to entice Manny. It's like, that's kind of a dull cliched love story, but then when Manny throws a log, Ellie realizes, holy shit, I was abandoned here when I was very young. And then they even show that as a flashback. When Ellie was very young, she lost her parents, she cuddled up in a tree before Crash and Eddie found her and took her in. And that's why she started to think she was a possum. And Ellie even realizes that she was a mammoth, but then there's just kind of some more like cliche stuff, and they're like flirting, like Manny tells her she gets like a big butt. It's like, how did this even get away with being in a kid's film? I get that this movie came out in 2006, but I'm not sure if this joke would go around today, if they tried making this movie today. Either ways, we also cut back to Scrat in like a vulture nest, trying to get his acorn out of there before being chased by a baby, with them fighting over the acorn until the baby eagle's father shows up and pecks Scrat out of the nest. But then Sid is trying to like teach Diego to help get over his fear of water, but like, I'm stalking the prey. Claw, kick, claw, kick, claw, kick. Before Diego is like, you know what, just fuck you, shut the hell up. Cuts Sid down, it's like, and you're sinking like a rock. Because Sid tried to get a fire started earlier, and he throws a rock into a lake, but then when Manny and Ellie are walking, apparently Manny accidentally set something off. His deceased, yeah. Even though they're really connecting, Ellie accidentally decides to separate herself from Minnie because he jumped in like way too damn quick. It's like, no, you gotta start talking about engagement once you've been dating for like. Because in my book, obviously, it's like when you first start dating somebody, wait 2 or 3 years before you get married, and then that is when you talk about if you want to have kids. That's my advice on dating. If you can find a girl who's not just gonna fuck you over, like my exes. And even one you can connect with, too. So, well, yeah. After that argument, they end up continuing through, like, some cliffs and fog, and then May's trying to, like, apologize to them, apologize to Ellie, and Crash, and he just keeps saying the most random shit ever. And it's like, I can't, and May tells him, I can hear every word she's saying, and she did not say any of that ridiculous stuff, like me being a jerk, somebody to go away, or even jump in a lake, and that possum's rule. Before they get stuck on, like, a rotating cliff, it's like, did we really have to shoehorn in this? Where then Diego tells them to lock trunks and then, like, try to balance the cliff, which Sid eventually gets off after... This whole scene just drags on for quite a while, so... And, like, the love story between Manny and Ellie, it's like, this is how it goes between these two when we're supposed to believe that they end up having a kid at the end of the third movie. I mean, it's still okay nonetheless, but I feel like they could have just handled it better. Either way, after they save Diego from like a near-death experience, they decide to get some sleep, and then Sid's sleeping on a piece of bark, and there's like a vulture overwatching them, while Ellie, Crash, and Eddie are sleeping in a tree, and then Sid has like this dream, or I'm not sure if it's a dream or if it's real, where he's kidnapped by a tribe of many sloths. They make him like their chief, and then it's like, okay, so we're kind of stealing the Pelagosto scene from Pirates of the Caribbean. Which, funny fact, this movie came out in the same year as the second Pirates of the Caribbean film. It's like, oh wow, so this film, I think this was kind of like a subtle nod towards Pirates, but not like a full rip-off, and then Cretaceous and Maelstrom are kind of like a subtle nod towards Jaws, so... Either way, Sid eventually is like made Fire King, and then he starts like... When he realizes the sloths are mimicking him, he literally starts making them make like the most random sounds you can imagine until they tie him up and throw him into a fire pit, which obviously he survives because like one of the sloths traditions they had was sacrifice the Fire King, but obviously Sid survives because the ropes he was tied up in caught on like a cliff, and then they catapulted him into like a sloth head that was like a rock, but then he knocks the rock over and he rolls away. It's like, okay, what was the point of that scene? But either way, we just cut to Diego the following morning when he wakes up, realizes there's water, and then May's like, oh shit, we overslept. We gotta move fast if you want to beat the flood. And then Sid comes, tells him, hey, you're not gonna believe what happened to me last night. I got kidnapped by a tribe of many sloths. Or maybe I sleepwalked. And May tells him, Sid, you dreamt the whole thing. And it's like, did he actually dream that? Or was that actually in real life? Because even though we see the sloths later, that doesn't really answer the question of whether it was a dream or not. But then the herd is walking through like a maze of vultures, and we get a musical number with them singing about them being glorious food. It's like, yes, this movie has a musical number in it. I mean, it's like, what? I mean, even though the future Ice Age films had musical numbers in them, like the pirate song in the fourth one, I don't think the third film had any musical numbers in it. 4 had one, 5 had one. But yeah, either way, after the song's over, it's literally just them running from vultures, nothing to zig up. Before we cut to them at the boat, and a huge argument breaks out when they realize the only way to get to the boat is by crossing through a minefield, because Ellie says, no, how about we'll go around, we'll head back and go around, so it's safer than getting blown to bits. And Manny's like, no, if we do that, the dam could burst before we make it to the boat, and we will drown. And then they're still arguing on which way is safer, and Diego asks, can I say something before both Manny and Ellie tell him no? So then they go their separate ways. It's like, You know, you still could have. You could have just stuck along the outer edge of that minefield as opposed to just taking a beeline right to the boat. Which Manny does where he gets hit by a geyser. But he survives, even because he's probably much bigger. We see a dodo bird get turned like a goddamn chicken. But anyway, Manny snaps out of like a trance he had before they finally get aboard the line up to the boat. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, once they're at the boat. There's even the vultures flying overhead saying, "Do not leave children unattended. All unattended children will be eaten." Wow. So, they're walking, and of course May's asking if Ellie made it, which, spoilers, she has not. I ask a whole bunch of animals, "Hey, have you seen a mammoth?" And some glyptodons say, "Yeah, I'm looking at a mammoth right now." It's like, no, not me. It's like, poor guy doesn't know he's a mammoth. Of course he knows he's a mammoth. He's meant an orange mammoth. Manny is brown. It's like, wow, that glyptodon is the retard here, not Manny. But then the dam's like fully broken, and then we see Scrack get his acorn out of the nest right as the dam breaks, and of course he's still in the nest screaming as the dam bursts, and then the water is like coming in. The animals realize, oh shit, the dam burst, we gotta go fast before we drown. And of course, Ellie has not made it there, and then she ends up getting trapped in like a cave with Crash and Eddie, but then she's like, no, you two go find help. She pushes them to like a small hole, and it's like, you know what, we'll go get help. Hopefully we'll be back before too long. So they start running towards the boat lineup, and how kind of the writers to give us a reminder that Cretaceous and Maelstrom are also in the flood. It's like, hey, you forgot about those reptile beasts? Well, here they are. It's like, yeah, by the way, Cretaceous and Maelstrom are the main antagonists of this movie, despite how small of a role despite their, like, minuscule screen time. But then Crash and Eddie find Manny and tell him, Ellie's trapped in the cave, you gotta go save her. So he runs back, and Sin and Diego follow soon. But then once they find the cave, they realize the water's coming, and he's like, oh shit, I gotta get her out of there fast. But unfortunately, by the time he actually gets to the cave, the water has reached it, and then he's like swimming before he grabs a log, lodges it in the cave, in hopes of trying to push the boulder. But unfortunately, the boulder will not budge. Even with Ellie pushing from her side and Manny trying to pry with a log from his side, the thing just will not budge. And then Crash and Eddie are also like stuck on the water. And then Sid's like, I'll save you, before he jumps off and he knocks himself unconscious by diving headfirst into an ice block. And now it's up to Diego to save his friends, so he's trying to like help get over his fear of water before he finally jumps in. He's like, remember what Sid taught you, claw, kick, and he eventually gets the hang of it with ease, before he saves Crash, Eddie, and Sid and puts them on like a rock. It's like you said, most animals can swim as babies. Yeah, but not tigers. I left that part out. I was like, whoa, I'm extra special then. So anyway, they see Manny trying to help Ellie, who's managed to get her trunk to the opening she pushed Crash and Eddie through earlier. And the log is like completely underwater now, so Manny's having no luck. He's like, Ellie, hold on to me. It's like, was your plan to pull Ellie out of there once the hole got wide enough? Because, well, obviously we'll never know, because Cretaceous ends up biting Manny's tail and pulling him underwater, and it's like... And then the water's already past the opening on the cave Ellie's trapped in, and it's like, damn, Ellie can hold her breath for a really long time. Because Manny's like, ah, shit, now I have to deal with these motherfuckers while trying to save a damsel in distress. So anyways, he swims up to get some air before diving back into the water upon realizing Cretaceous and Maelstrom are behind him. So what he does is he swims over to the log, waits for the right time, and then he quickly pulls himself out of the way, which now is when the boulder breaks free from the cave. Once Cretaceous and Maelstrom bite the log, they're swimming, and they finally pull it free, and of course the debris ends up falling on top of them. We never know what happened to Cretaceous and Maelstrom after that boulder falls on top of them. So let's presume that they died, because We don't see their bodies, and obviously they didn't come back in the sequel, so Manny rescues Ellie before swimming over the rock where their friends are, and then Sid's like, yay, we're gonna live. And it's like, no, we're not, because the water is still rising, and the boat ends up breaking free and sailing away. Before we cut to Scrat climbing up the wall, which when he gets to the top, it actually starts cracking, and he's just, like, hanging like this. It's like, really? You couldn't have just grabbed onto one side as opposed to just hanging there like this? And then Scrat ends up being pulled to his core, like he's about to get his arms ripped off, he drops his acorn, and then he ends up falling into the water himself, which I think I did see a video saying that Scrat would have died, despite even with the water cushioning his fall at the bottom, and the flood's over and all the animals are happy, so yeah. And then Sid runs into the sloths from his dream or whatever it was, and is like, come join us, Fire King, and Diego tells them, no, Fire King needs his herd here. And even Manny agrees with it before he and Ellie see a herd of mammoths coming through where all the water went after Scrat opened the wall, so then the mammoths are like walking towards them and they realize, holy shit, I'm not the last mammoth. And then Manny even tells Ellie to like go on her way in the herd before Sid and Diego are enticing Manny, so it's like, dude, go on with her. And then he tells Ellie, look, I don't want us to be together because we have to. I want us to be together because we want to. And he's hanging from a tree as well, but then he falls out of the tree. And then Manny and Ellie decide, yeah, we're going to be together, but then they decide not to go with the herd. And the other mammoths are celebrating too. It's like, yep, Manny and Ellie finally really see each other. It's like, it's a kind of an okay way of telling it. And then they walk through the crack, just kind of BSing with each other about, it's like, ooh, if I had a dog and the dog's kid had a pet, that would be Sid. And I like Diego more. Before we cut to Scrat in heaven, like walking around before he walks into a gate which opens and he realizes he's like in an area infested with acorns. He's like dancing with them before he sees a big acorn and tries to run up and eat it, but unfortunately he's sucked back and dragged back down to earth because we find out it was because Sid had resuscitated him. And of course Scrat is not happy and starts beating the shit out of Sid for, I don't know why, for like resuscitating him or because his acorn was nowhere in sight. And yeah, that's pretty much the second film. It introduces Ellie, Crash, and Eddie, which Crash and Eddie are the best characters in the franchise, and yeah, that's basically it for the second film. It was kind of an okay way to like get Manny into like show us Manny's love interest, which they later did with Diego in the fourth film, so, but yeah, if you're trying to make this franchise a trilogy, this was actually kind of a great way, even though I feel like it could have been better. Like, I'm not sure how they could have made it. I feel like one way they could have made it superb is if like they didn't really try to convolute Manny and Ellie as much and made them like actually connect and not just like have Ellie overreact, and like maybe have some more scenes with Cretaceous and Maelstrom, so that like there's a scene where they're walking in like a large cesspool area that's kind of got over them, and then you see that it's like, I don't know, I'm thinking like the flood area from Outlast, but they would have a scene where Scrat is like interacting with them, trying to get his acorn away. But yeah, that's basically it for the second film. Let me know in the comments what you think of this film. Do you think it was a great way to introduce Ellie and all that, or even a great addition to the franchise, which, I mean, it was okay, but... Oh yeah, by the way, Cretaceous and Maelstrom would not be alive when they saw it out of the ice. I just want to mention that before I end the video, because... Same thing with Scrat in the first film, but... Other than that, that's basically it for this video, and, can't wait till May and then I'll see you in May for when I review Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Obviously, I'll try to have some videos out before then, so... Yeah. I'll have some more videos coming out through the month of April, and then if you're only here for the Ice Age stuff, then you can wait till wait till May for the the Dinosaurs review, and then June will be Continental Drift. So yeah, please like, comment, share, sub, and peace.